the kind you wear it tight. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah. Yeah. I'm unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me today, we got Devin.
Hey, everybody. It's been a long time.
It has been a minute, Devin.
It has been a minute. I've had a lot of life things happening in a very short period of time.
Same.
And
every
one day
week
I
it
will
seems
meet-
like we've just forgotten to do it until Thursday, and then it's like, okay.
On the bright side, I'm off on Thursday, so there's that. So I'm home now, so we can forget all Thursdays and Thursdays whenever we want to, and then I'm just here
It's
on
true.
Thursdays.
It's true. I mean, for a while I didn't want to do them on Thursdays because I liked watching Critical Role, or I wanted to be done by 10 so I could watch Critical Role, but I'm still...
We can do it during the day, because I'm home all day.
Yeah, I get that now.
Yeah.
I'm very far behind on Critical Role now, so...
I'm behind on life.
Same.
To give you an idea, how my day is going, I am eating a Little Debbie's peanut butter cream pie and drinking a Bud Light.
Well,
And it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
well, I mean, I'm not quite that point, I guess, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, I guess.
My first drink was at 11.
Well,
So-
shit. I don't think it's 5 o'clock anywhere at 11 a.m.
I made hash. I made like a fucking, I took some corned beef. No, I didn't have any corned beef. I took a Italian sausage and made a fucking hash. And I was just like, you know what sounds good with this? A beer. Or it does. And it did. It was great. It tasted amazing.
Well,
However,
well, good.
I'm having beer at 2:30 in the afternoon.
You know, I don't drink very much anymore, or very often, I should say. But like, when I have like chicken, or especially like hot wings or something, dude.
You want a beer? It goes with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, just an ice cold fucking beer just seems to pair with that so well.
It just seals the deal. It
seals
the deal.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, I mean, my beer choice is not Bud Light Platinum, for the record. I mean, I will drink Bud Light Platinum, but it's not my beer of choice. My beer of choice right now actually is Sam Adams Cherry Wheat. It's very good.
My beer of choice is regular Budweiser, and
Got a lot of that in my fridge too.
the reason behind that is because the majority of people I know don't drink it. So that means nobody
They
will
won't
touch
touch
my
your
beer.
beer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say the frequency of my drinking has increased, but the volume of my drinking has decreased. So I drink much more frequently than I used to, but I drink a lot less when I do drink.
See, I drink a lot less frequently and volume because, I used to drink, I don't know, twice a month or so. You know, we would hold bonfire parties and stuff at my house, and I'd go through a handle of Southern Comfort and a half a handle of fucking vodka or another, rum, just another alcohol. And then I would switch to beer later in the night. And then towards the end of the night, early morning, I would start switching to water. And I mean, that was my regimen of never getting a hangover. I've only ever gotten one hangover my entire life. So
I've had a hangover once, and I went to work with it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
But in any case, so today I had a question, and I'm going to have you explain some stuff mechanically, because I started reading and whatnot about D&D 3.5, and I don't know anything about it, and it seems like it's just coming from I played 2nd edition, which was also complicated in its own sense, and then we went to 4th edition from that, at least I did, which was like playing a video game. 4th edition, you had daily abilities and just these powers that you could use, and then once you used them, X amount of times, they were gone. Kind of like spell slots, I guess. Back to 5th edition, which was much more like 2nd edition, just better in my opinion. So far, 5th edition has been my favorite edition, but it made me realize I know nothing about 3.5. And when I look at 3.5, it's daunting. Like, it just seems like there's so much to it.
There is.
So I was wondering if you could describe to us and educate me as far as like the mechanical differences between, say, 3.5 and 5.
Yes. It's been a while. I will disclaimer, it's been a while since I played D&D 3.5, but D&D 3.5 was the system I grew up playing. So this is a system that got me into D&D.
Oh, so that was your first. That was your first delve into D&D. Was 3.5.
3.5 is my first. My first. I think I played 2E for like a second, and I made a character. And we never. It was like at a sleepover, and I made a character, and we never actually played it. But my actual like first campaign was in 3.5.
Now, my first question for you before you dive into the 3.5 mechanics is a mechanical question, but I just want to get this out of the way now. Did 3.5 have armor class or Thaco?
It had armor class.
All right, that was the
but
best.
It had multiple. It had multiple types of armor class.
Oh boy!
So you had your AC, you had a touch AC, and then you had a flat-footed AC.
Right.
Yeah, and all those things were. It was all under AC.
The flat-footed is just like if you're surprised, right?
There are some things that would make it where you like would roll against a flat-footed AC, but more often than not, it was just like a surprise scenario. And in 3.5, the standard, so your armor bonus was, your armor class was kind of similar to 5e in the sense that it was your basic armor rating was 10 plus your armor bonus plus your shield bonus plus your dex mod plus your size mod. So kind of the same deal there as kind of what it is.
Now, if you were larger, would that reduce your armor class?
The size modifier, if I remember correctly, hold on.
Because I know, generally speaking, larger.
I think the larger you are, the smaller it was. Yeah. So a colossal creature would get a -8 to AC. A gargantuan would get a -4. Huge would get a -2. Large would get a -1. Medium is 0. Small was +1. Tiny was +2. Diminutive was +4. Fine was +8.
God, you could actually play as a fine-sized character.
That was another thing that like 3.5 allows you to do because there were so many different rules and there were splat books and so many different. So to give you an idea, just the core published books, and I'm not talking about campaigns that introduce other things and like other settings in 3.5. Just the core printed books of 3.5, there were 68 of them.
Holy fuck!
Just like, and that's just through Wizard of the Coast, and that's just like not like Eberron, not like Ravenloft, not like the campaign settings that also had their own books,
right?
Or like Forgotten Realms, just the core books. So like you had the Arms and Equipment Guide, the Books of Challenges, the Book of Exalted Deeds, Book of Vile Darkness, which fun fact, a banned book, in a lot of places because it talks explicitly about Satan worship and
This kind of sounds a lot like
extra ritual.
This kind of sounds a lot like 2nd edition to me, because 2nd edition's like you had one book that was just purely dedicated to combat and like combat maneuvers and things, and then you had one that was just your pure weapons book. Then you had another. You had individual books for each class. You had your basic, and these are all like full books. These are all like 200-page books. Right.
They're not like little manuals. So you had your basic. To give you an idea, you had your basic player's handbook. You had the player's handbook 1, the DM's guide, and the monster manual. Those were the basic 3. You had those. That was all you really need to play the game. But they also had a player's handbook 2, which introduced more classes. They had 4 additional monster manuals, so they had 5 monster manuals.
Man, I will say I'm kind of glad to hear that, unless you're about to tell me otherwise, that they put the classes essentially into like the player's handbooks and stuff.
All the basic classes are in the player's handbook. So you have like, if you look at the baseline 3.5 classes in the player's handbook that you can play as.
I'm like 90% sure that in 2nd edition, each class had its own it had its own book, because it would show all of the subclasses and stuff and specialties for that class in that book.
Right.
And elves were a class, not a race.
Yes, that is a true statement. But they also had things called prestige classes, which were weird. I'll get to that later, because that's a weird thing. But you had base classes. So your base classes in the player's handbook was Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Wizard. And that was your base classes. So all the classes you're familiar with. Those are your base classes. You can multi-class from that point. Then they also had in the basic text, they had in between the 3 main books, they had prestige classes for all of them. If you wanted to go into them, like the Arcane Archer, the Arcane Trickster, the Archmage, the Assassin, the Blackguard, the Cerbermancer, the Dragon Disciple, the Duelist, the Dwarven Defender, the Eldritch Knight, the Elocator, the Hierophant, the Horizon Walker, the Lore Master, the Metamind, the There's so many prestige classes. There's so many different classes in this game. It's kind of stupid. It is kind of very stupid.
No, I will say
I love 3.5.
It seems good in the aspect that I don't feel like you ever really have to worry about any 2 players overlapping.
You could have an entire party of clerics, and every single cleric would feel different. You could have an entire party of fighters, and every fighter would feel different. Just because of your prestige class and your feats. I will say, though, the game kind of broke itself as time went on. And what I mean by that is it power crept itself to such a point in how certain feats and how prestige classes worked and how feats worked. You needed certain skills in order to get certain feats and certain prestige classes. The problem is with that, there are certain feats that were certain skills that were dog shit, like legit just terrible dog shit skills that nobody ever took, and there were certain feats that nobody fucking took. But you need those feats to get those. You needed certain feats to get there. Like I think what was like the worst worst feat? There was a prerequisite feat in 3.5 that was dog shit. It was never really used. And yeah. I'm trying to think what the fuck the feat even was. Where is it? What is the fucking feat? It's a stupid feat that you have to take to get like every skill, every it's a stupid feat you have to take. It's like it's a combat expertise or not. It's combat something. But it's fucking stupid. It's rarely ever used. It comes up like once or twice, maybe in your entire campaign. But you have to take a feat slot to get it because it's a prerequisite for 1,000 other feats. And if you don't build your class the correct way, so you have to like basically. This is why I actually enjoy playing. I enjoyed playing this because it taught me how to like plan out a class. 3.5 is notorious where like if you didn't plan out your class, you may not be able to like get what you want when you want it. Especially because like your skills did not level up. Your skills leveling up was a bitch because your skills like building a level 20 character from start to finish without a builder was a pain in the ass because your skills did not level. Your skills leveled like they didn't level like equally. You got skill points at every level like you would in a game to put into certain skills.
Right. And
the skills you could put into them lopsided. So you had your skills you were proficient in and a proficiency in a skill. This is stupid. Proficiency in a skill would let your one skill point ring as one skill point, right? if you didn't have proficiency in a skill, you could put a point in that skill, but it would give you basically a half a point. So you have to put 2 points in that skill for it to count as 1. This is dumb. It's the dumbest thing ever. So, and certain feats required certain amount of skill points. Certain prestige classes required certain feats, skills, and like proficiencies. And you have to like plan everything out kind of ahead of time before you figure it out and set out the table to really do anything. Because you'd be like, oops, like somewhere down the line I forgot to take this fucking feat, and then
you'd be screwed.
Nah, I can't get into this class. Or I don't have enough skill points to get into this class.
So even if you say you started now I'm just gonna say, like, say you started a level 3 campaign, right? Or say you were gonna DM a campaign for a couple of us for 3.5, right? And you were starting us off at level 3 because level 1 blows, but
I actually like level 1 and 3.5 for one reason only, because of how critical hits work in 3.5. It's you roll the dice and just flat 2x it, so you can outright kill a player off a critical hit if they roll really well. If you roll really well on the damage dice, it's not like you don't just roll like double the dice. It's a flat the damage, whatever the damage they take is flat 2x.
Yeah. So see, like, if you were DMing a 3.5 game, this is the type of system where you would highly recommend, okay, at character creation, try to look at like the high level things and what you
build backwards. I would say build backwards. Get to what you want to be and then build it backwards and just write down what you need when you get there. Because it's also very common in 3.5 to have outside of clerics and druids and wizards, because you usually don't have to prestige class or multi-class. It's very common to have like a character with like 20 different classes. Like I shit you not.
Jesus. Now what's the level cap of 3.5?
Non-epic is 20. Once you get into epic, you can go up to 40 or higher.
Oh my god! I'm assuming those are just a different set of books and stuff that.
Yeah, it's epic campaign. There's also epic prestige classes. But like to give you an idea, like I pulled up the Arcane Archer to give you an idea of the requirements of the Arcane Archer to get into the class. To qualify to become an Arcane Archer, a character must fulfill any of the following criteria. Must fulfill all the following criteria. Sorry, race, elf or half elf. Your base attack bonus has to be a +6. So if you're a full base attack bonus class, which, by the way, another weird thing about classes, every level you would gain so there was full base attack bonus classes, 3/4 base attack bonus classes, and half base attack bonus classes, which were like base.
Can you explain to me what those are?
Base attack bonus is basically your proficiency bonus, but they also determines how many attacks you get per turn.
Okay.
So, for instance, in a fighter, so like I'm going to go to a fighter because that's like your quintessential fighter, cleric, and wizard, because that works out perfectly in the sense of the fighter is a full base attack bonus character, the cleric is a 3/4, and the wizard or the sorcerer is a half. So at base attack, so at first level, your base attack bonus is 1. Second level, your base attack bonus is 2 on a fighter. Third is 3. Fourth is 4. 5 is 5.
So your proficiency bonus goes up by 1 each time? Or?
But yes, it also determines your number of attacks. So your number of attacks is equal to your base attack bonus minus 5, and then if you have anything left over, that's the new base attack bonus of your second attack. So at level 6, your first attack base attack bonus is at a +6, and then you can make a second attack with a base attack bonus of a +1.
Okay. So then at level 7, your second attack would have a bonus of +2.
+2, and your base attack is at +7.
And how many attacks do you get?
You can go on a fighter with full base attack at 20th level. You go up to your base attack bonuses. Your first attack is made at a +20. Your second attack is made at a +15. Your third attack is made at a +10, and your fourth attack is made at a +5. Oof. So you get 4 attacks, but they're less likely to hit as you go on.
Right. Which, I mean, I kind of like that, because that kind of shows like, oh, if you're swinging 4 times in 6 seconds, your last hit's not going to be as impactful. Your fatigue is wearing in at that point. This, that, and the other thing.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I do theoretically like that idea.
Right. So what that means with the Arcane Archer, for instance, by the way, the Cleric at 3 Force, they don't pick up a second attack until 8th level. So they start at a base attack bonus of +0, and then it's second level is at 1, third level is at 2, fourth level they get +3, fifth level is also +3, so they don't gain 1 there. Sixth level they get +4, seventh level is +5, eighth level is when they get the +6, so they get the +1 on top of that. So at 20th level they cap out at +15, +10, +5. And then your wizard basically is it's doubled every time. So basically it's doubled levels. So you start at 0, second level you get 1, and you don't get +2 though, you get 4. Fourth level, and then 6th level you get +3, 8th level you get +4, 10th level is +5, 12th level is +6. So you get a second attack as a wizard at 12th level. And then you end off at 20th level. Your base attack is +10 and +5.
And now, is that for regular attacks, or does that also include like spell attacks?
That's for regular attacks.
Okay.
That's for regular attacks. Your spell attacks are usually keyed off of your whatever your for wizard. It's wisdom or intelligence. Sorry, and then your what you call it. You also get bonus spells based on your intelligence. Like your stats actually matter. So if you're particularly intelligent or particularly whatever your casting stat is, if it's particularly high when you start off, you get bonus spells.
Yeah, second edition was that way too.
Yeah, so you could be like really cool and give a lot of like bonus spells and shit, which is really dope. But
now,
point
okay,
being,
let me interject and ask you this: XP is XP like it is in 5th edition for 3.5?
As far as what?
Where, like, essentially you have a battle, and then you add up the XP cost of each thing in the battle, and then divide it by the party number size, and that's what everybody's XP is for the battle?
Yeah, that's basically how that would work out.
Okay, because see, 2nd edition did something. 2nd edition was very strange, and everyone leveled up at different paces.
Yeah, and it's all uniform. It's by the class at this point.
Yeah, because like in 2nd edition, I remember, so like your martial classes, like your barbarians and fighters, you got XP for everything that died in a combat.
So like to go back to your example of
mages or spellcasters in general, got XP based off of each spell they cast and what level it was cast at. And then when I played a thief, or a rogue, rogues literally got XP for every gold value they accumulated. So if you looted something that was worth, a gem that was worth 50 gold, you got 50 XP.
It was almost like in 2nd edition, your class leveled up and not you as a person.
Right.
So you had to do things that was class related to get levels.
But see, what was kind of neat about that too was like, okay, at the end of the day, you would end up having all your spellcasters just blowing spell slots to get XP. But like, if everyone started outpacing, say, a rogue, because you haven't looted anything in a while or whatever, the rogue would start falling behind, and the rest of the party you would have to figure out a way to get the rogue to catch up.
Can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
What's stopping the rogue from like basically making friends with the shopkeeper and being like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna play a game. I'm gonna sneak in at night every night. I'm gonna loot something and steal something from your shop. If you tell me what it is the next morning, what I stole, I'll give it back to you." What's stopping him from just doing that?
Two things. First, your DM. Your DM would stop that. Second, say I looted something off of you, right?
Okay.
And then I gave it back to you. I am giving up that XP.
Gotcha.
That is not accumulated wealth of my own now.
Gotcha.
But like where it really shines through is like when you fight a dragon for the first time and you loot the dragon horde. It's like you just got a big chunk of XP at that point. But I mean, at the same time, also you're looking into like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of XP before you need to get to the next level too.
Yep.
So
a fully leveled character, if I'm not mistaken, to reach 20th level is like 190,000 XP. I believe it's 190,000 XP.
What is it in 5th? Hold on. 5th edition level chart. 355,000.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's how much you need to get there, or that's the level of what it is. I think that's the level of what it is. So I think in this, it's the level is 190,000. So you get there way easier, but that's because then you have epic levels.
Right.
Which your epic levels campaign. So to give you an idea, epic levels is stupid, by the way. And how much you need to like.
Remind me, I want your help with something after this.
Gotcha, bud. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think how you get epic levels. Epic is always weird. Epic was a weird thing. I never actually played an epic campaign, for good reason. But yeah, so it's 190,000 XP to get to the max level, right? But so at third level, to give you an idea, if you're gonna make a third level character, if you picked a class that had a good save bonus. Also, by the way, you had good and poor saves, save bonuses.
Okay.
So, for instance, going back to my fighter, in this you had 3 saves. You had 3 types of saves. There was fortitude, reflex, and will save. Fortitude is like akin to like hosting like anything that would be a constitution or a strength save would be fortitude. Reflex would be anything that would be like dex, wisdom-ish.
Okay.
And then your will would be more like your intelligence, charisma saves would be the ballpark. Well, the fighter had a really good fort save and a god-awfully shitty reflex and will save. So like they started off at level 1 with a +2 to their fort save, but they got +0 to reflex and will saves. And keep in mind, 3.5 had spells that were save or die. Like 5e got rid of save or die spells. 3.5 had a lot of save or suck or save or die spells, which is why wizards were so great and were some of the greatest fucking classes of all time. I think the title of the best class goes to clerics and druids.
In 3.5.
Just because, yeah, I fell in love with the druid in 3.5. I mean, Clericzilla and Druidzilla are insane. They're almost impossible they can do it all, and they're almost impossible to like put down for good. But they can do it all. But because the druids are stupid. The druid animal companion is stupid. I'm calling it out what it is. The ranger had an animal companion, and that was like their thing. But the druid also got an animal companion. But the druid's animal companion was better than the ranger's animal companion. So, and you can take feats to buff up the druid animal companion along with the ranger animal companion. But to give you an idea, the druid's animal companion, but at max level, was basically another PC.
Okay.
Well, so to give you an idea,
I mean, to be fair, when I have people who play specifically Beastmaster Rangers in my games, their pets are essentially another player.
Yeah, I get it. Nothing like this.
Okay.
I'm about to tell you like why. So because their pet scales with your level. It's depending on your level.
Mm-hmm.
So at first or second level, you're like, all right, whatever. It gets no bonus hit dice, no natural armor adjustments, no strength or dex adjustments. It gets a bonus trick. It learns link and share spell, right? But compare that to 12th level. At 12th level, the Druid's Animal Companion gets 8 bonus hit dice, gets a +8 to armor class, to its natural armor.
Okay.
It gets a +4 to its strength and dex stat.
Now hold on, I have a question before you continue. This is an armor class question. So it gets a +8 to its natural armor class, regardless of whatever creature it is. Can you also get armor made for it?
There is barding, yes, you can get it.
That's
you can get animal
fucking
bard.
insane. Okay.
You can get a animal bard.
I'm gonna have an animal companion. His AC is just a cool, 26. It's nothing.
Actually, a 26 AC is kind of low in 5e.
Whatever.
I've had an AC in 5e that was close to almost 50. It was
you mean
3.5? Sorry, 3.5 is kind of stupid. But you get the +4 to strength and dex.
Now hold on. Before we continue, God, everything you say just makes more questions. So, like, you're telling me as a DM, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to be like, all right, I attack you with this monster. Does a fucking 47 hit?
It has happened before.
And that would be questioningly.
Hold on, like I'm gonna pull up some optimized character builds, right? I'm gonna pull up some optimized character builds.
Depending on the game that I'm running in 5e, sometimes when I'm like, does a 30 hit, I might actually be questioning that. But like normally when I'm like, oh, does a 32 hit, it's like, yeah, I know that hits.
So to give you an idea, let's see if I can find one here. It's like legit. And I'm not trying to pull up I'm trying to pull up an SRD only optimized build for something here. And look at the AC real quick. So to give you an idea, this is a optimized character build, right? Optimized character build is only using, this is no homebrew content, this is only Wizard of the Coast rules. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This character at 20th level has an AC of 52.
Oh my god. Okay.
But I will say, it's also one of those things where, like, to give you an instance on.
I mean, also that's 20th level. That's supposedly the max level, unless you start going into prestige classes. And at that point, you are supposed to be fighting, like, these big epic things.
You're right.
But still,
you're absolutely right. Like a Tarrasque, right? Absolutely like a Tarrasque.
I don't even think a Tarrasque would hit with a 52.
Well, that's what I was about to get to. It's very different. The damaging and the attacks are very different in 5e and 3.5.
Right.
So, for instance, Claw of a Tarrasque in 5e is a melee weapon attack +9 to hit, right?
Yeah. And it does how much?
It does
roughly
4d8 +10 damage. The Claw, in this, first off, it gets 2 claws, not 1 claw. It gets 2 claws as part of the attack action. It gets 2 claws. They are a +52.
Jesus, okay. So you pretty much a Tarrasque will automatically hit you.
They're +52, but they only do 1d12 +8, but there's 2 of them, so you roll twice. So really it's 2d12 +16, so on average 7, that's like 6.5, that's 13, 29. So about the same average damage, but you're also rolling at a +52 to hit. So it's all perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's all perspective. It's like, that's terrible. But also, too, there's a lot more different types of AC in 3.5.
Right, which we were going to get into. But let's finish this beast talk, this druid beast companion.
Yeah. The druid animal companion is stupid. So, first off, 16th level, and this is just in core rules. You can get the dire tiger at 16th level over Tyrannosaur. So let's just say you're 16th level.
Oh yeah, you just casually have a pet T-Rex.
Yep, that's within the book, right? The T-Rex's hit dice they have 18d8 +99. The average is 180 hit dice, right? So at 16th level, let's pull up the Druid Animal Companion. That would mean at 16th level, your T-Rex will have as a animal companion, if your T-Rex was going to fight another wild T-Rex, because wild T-Rexes are a thing apparently, your T-Rex would have an additional plus 10 hit dice. So you would roll an additional plus D8, or 10 D8, additional plus 10 D8, and then add that to the 180 hit points that are there. Its armor class would jump from a 14 to a 24. That's not including any armor you put on it. Its strength and dex would jump from.
I'm not gonna lie. The picture you sent me for Tez's T-Rex form is now making a whole lot more sense. It was just that armored T-Rex with like the laser cannons coming off of it.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
So the strength and dex for the T-Rex would jump from a strength of 28 to a strength of 33. And its dex would jump from 12 to 17, which would also change its saves, by the way. And then it gets bonus tricks on top of that. Now, it gets 4 bonus tricks, which your bonus tricks are whatever they're going to be. Let me pull up some bonus tricks here.
Like play dead? That's a trick?
Maybe. Let's see. Bonus tricks.
Fetch? Roll over? Oh, man, imagine having a T-Rex roll over.
But here, to give you an idea of how, like, I feel like the Rangers gets, like, cucked in, like, every fucking...
Yeah, every single one. Except for, second edition, they were pretty good. I played a Ranger.
Like, the Rangers Animal Companion in 3.5, I'm going to compare you... You just compare the table to the... Compare the table... First off, like, they don't get the same shit, but...
Yeah, not to mention... Dude, hold on. Speaking of Rangers, okay, so it's no secret I have a love for specifically Beastmaster Rangers. Okay, yep. I do. Now, that being said, like you said, I feel like they've gotten shafted so often in so many of these different fucking editions. And not only that, so like their beasts are supposed to be better than average beasts. They are Beastmasters,
And they are. They are.
Now, but get this. They're not by much, first off. Okay?
That's true.
And at least in old school editions, if your beast companion died, you suffered so many negative penalties.
Yeah.
Because of like losing your beast companion, you'd get like fucking sad, essentially.
Imagine if Lionel lost Snarf.
Yeah. Yeah.
The silent member of the Thunder... Well, the not silent member of the Thundercats. The real hero of the Thundercats. No.
That's kind of a kick in the balls, man. Like, here's this class that it's iconic, When people think D&D, Ranger, they think Beastmaster. It's an iconic class. And
it's usually like with a bow. It's either if they know Dritz, if they think it's Dritz. If they don't know Dritz, when you say Ranger, they think of like, this guy's got a bow and he's got an animal companion.
Right. And so like it's like, okay, well here's your animal companion. It's slightly better than like the natural version, not by a whole lot. And it's still really, really squishy, especially the higher levels you get. When you have things that do like fucking 60 damage in a hit, it can one-shot your animal companion. Then you're afraid to even send it out into combat. Know? Because all of a sudden, if it dies, you're taking like a -4 to everything. And it's like,
let me break down how much they just like shit on the Ranger compared to the Druid in 3.5. Okay? First off, Druid, full caster, has full spells. 1. 2. Has wild shape.
How often can they wild shape in 3.5?
You get their wild shape at 5th level. It's once a day at 5th level, but it's way more broken at 5th level. It's way more broken. Wild shape is way more broken in this edition than it is in other editions. And then at like 20th level, it's elemental 3 times a day, huge. They can wild shape. I think, unlimited times a day at a certain point. I'll read in a second. But, so, keep in mind, they get wild shape. They're a full caster. They have, only thing they don't have on the Ranger is the Rangers have a full base attack bonus, so they get 4 attacks, so the Rangers 3. But they're a full caster. Ranger gets their animal companion at 4th level. A Druid gets theirs at 1st level. Okay?
Well.
And then The animal companion, and I quote, this is what it says on the Ranger's page. This ability functions like the Druid ability of the same name, except the Ranger's effective Druid level is 1/2 his Ranger's level.
Okay.
Meaning, on that table, a 20th level, if you have two PCs that make characters that are one's a Druid, one's a Ranger, they pick the same animal companion, they pick a Panther, and they take him to 20th level. Your Panther as a Druid at 20th level will have plus 12 hit dice, plus 12 natural armor, plus 6 strength and dex, and 7 tricks. Okay? At 10th, your Ranger's Panther will have 6 hit dice, 6 natural armor improvements, 3 strength and dex, and 4 tricks. Literally half as good.
See, I don't know. Now let me ask you a question, Devin. I've been your
there is also feats. If you can get intelligent animals, and you can get animals that can get an intelligence score of like a positive number, like get a positive bonus. And you can actually your animal companions can cast spells off your list at certain points.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Let me ask you this, Devin. I've been your DM in several different games. You know my DMing style. Do you think... I guess it's a multi-part question. Do you think I'm wrong in showing leniency/favoritism for Beastmaster Rangers?
No, I think, honestly, out of every class, that's needs help the most, it's probably like Monk Ranger. Those are the two classes I think that really need like DM support the most.
So,
it's like, I feel like they don't bring anything to the table alone. Like, I feel like
if you were in a group,
I feel like the other classes. Go ahead.
If you were in a group that I DM'd with, say, 4 other people, all right, and there was a Beastmaster Ranger in that party, you wouldn't be upset when I give their beasts buffs, or on every couple level ups or something, I give them another ability.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. If you gave them like a chart and said, hey, like kind of like a similar chart to this, and said, hey, when you level up, as you level up, your beast is going to grow with you. You know? Also,
can you send me a list of those tricks or whatever?
Yeah, I'll get them together. I've been trying to click on them. It's taking me like other places. The value given in the comments on a bonus trick.
Because like I won't lie, like one of the Beastmaster Rangers in one of the games I DM for, they had a black bear for a pet, right? Now black bears don't get multi-attack. They get a claw or a bite attack. So when they reached, I think it was like level 6, something like that, I allowed their bear to then make I gave them multi-attack, so you could make either 2 claws or a claw and a bite attack.
By the way, as part of the animal companion table on this and the druid, they get multi-attack at 10th level.
Yeah.
They get link and share spell. They gain evasion. They get devotion, multi-attack, and they get improved evasion at 15th level.
Jeez.
Yeah. So with Link for our first level, Link and share spell. Share spell at the druid's option, she may have any spell, but not any spell like ability. That's a whole nother thing. There are different under every ability. There's different. Every ability has different classifications, and depending on what that classification is, it will affect you. It will be affected or not be affected. So, for instance, if I go to like certain abilities in here and read an ability, I'm going to pull up the 3.5 monster manual actually, because that'd be an easier way to do it. This is the original 3.5 monster manual. Jesus Christ, but that's okay. Pull this up real quick. I do love the cover of the original 3.5 monster manual. It's dope. Hold on. Like, I'm going to the Lich, page 166. So, the Lich. So it has abilities, certain abilities and shit that they can do. It'll tell you. So, like turn resistance, in parentheses next to it is EX. That is an extraordinary ability, right? Not affected by anything anti-magical. because it's not a magic or supernatural ability.
Okay, so things like possibly like a dragon's fire breath.
Yeah, like let me go.
Is technically a natural. It's a natural ability, so it's not considered magical.
Yes, like a true dragon, it'd be page 68. I don't know if that's actually what we want right here, but whatever.
Because I know that's been a big point of contention.
So a breath weapon is supernatural. But its immunities and spell resistance are extraordinary. So anything that would turn off supernatural abilities would turn off the breath weapon. Anything that would not, but it would not affect its spell resistances, its blind sense, its senses, none of that. So the breath weapons are supernatural.
Right.
So
if a dragon was in a massive anti-magic field, it would still
get its breath weapon. Because if I'm not mistaken, anti-magic field only turns off SP, which is spell-like abilities. Spells and spell-like abilities. So you have spells, spell-like abilities, which are SP. So for instance, a blue dragon in a anti-magic field would not be able to cast, create, or destroy water, because that's a spell or a spell-like ability. But its sound imitation, its frightful presence, its breath weapon, all that is extraordinary and supernatural. So it should still work. If I remember the ruling correctly on how that worked. I'm pretty sure anti-magic field only affected spells and spell-like abilities and not affect supernatural. I know it didn't affect extraordinary. Extraordinary abilities were just things that were innate to you but unique. But you were born with them.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of odd things about good old 3.5. But yeah, to give you an idea of some of the stuff that one thing I did like about 3.5 that I kind of miss in 5e, a lot of the skills in 3.5 were very in depth. There was a lot you could do with the skills. For instance, the handle animal skill, right? The handle animal skill, there's lists and tables under this skill of what you can do with it.
Right.
For instance, it gives you the standard check. The DC depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to handle an animal, it's a 10. Push an animal, 25. Teach an animal a trick, it's 15 or 20, depending on what the trick is. Train an animal for a general purpose is 15 or 20. You're trying to rear a wild animal, it's 15 plus the hit dice of the animal is your DC.
That's trying to break an animal, essentially.
Yeah. Yep. If you're trying to rear a wild animal. Yep. So, but your tricks, right? Your tricks that you can teach an animal. Attack. Attack is a trick. The animal attacks apparent enemies. You may point to a particular creature you wish the animal to attack, and it will comply if able. Normally, an animal will attack only humanoids, monstrous humanoids, giants, and other animals. Teaching an animal to attack all creatures, including such unnatural creatures such as undead and aberrations, count as 2 tricks. Come is a trick. The animal comes to you, even if it normally would not do so. Defend is a trick. The animal defends you or ready to defend you if no threat is present, even without any command being given. Alternatively, you command them to defend a specific other character. Down is a trick. The animal breaks off from combat or otherwise backs down. An animal that doesn't know this trick chooses to fight until it must flee due to injury and fear effect or the like. So, actually, funny story about that. A friendly PC, a PC met a friendly NPC in one of my games. And he had a animal companion. He did not teach him the down trick, but the PC was a story plug to something. But he had a compulsion of being afraid of I forgot. I think it was dogs or cats. I forgot what it was. I forgot what he had. He had a compulsion of he was afraid of one of the animals, right? And so he freaked out and it scared the animal. And the animal attacked. Well, he didn't know the down command, so he didn't stop. And we had the option of either, we can stop the animal or let the animal eat him. And we didn't want to stop the animal, so the animal ate him, and then we didn't get that story hook. Well. So yeah, always choose the down command, boys. Fetch. The animal goes out and gets something. If you do not point out a specific item, the animal fetches some random object. Guard. The animal stays in place and prevents others from approaching. Great for if you're trying to go to sleep. Your animal can go on guard for you.
Yeah.
Heal. Animal follows you closely, even to places it normally wouldn't go. Perform. Perform a variety of simple tricks, such as sitting up, rolling over, roaring, or barking, and so on. Seek. The animal moves into an area and looks around for anything that is obvious, alive, or animate. Obviously alive or animate. Stay. The animal stays in place, waiting for your return. It does not challenge other creatures that come by, though it should defend itself if it needs to. Track. The animal tracks the scent presented to it. It requires the animal to have the scent ability, and then work. The animal will push or pull a medium or heavy load. Always great to have like a beast of burden. If you, for instance, had an elephant animal companion, you can do a lot of shit with an elephant animal companion. And then you can train an animal for a purpose. So you can teach an animal combat riding, you can teach how to fight. And it tells you how long it takes too. Training an animal to fight takes about 3 weeks. Training an animal to guard will take about 4 weeks. Training an animal for guarding will be about 4 weeks. I actually had a player that did that. He retired his character out and trained watchdogs for the town he was in. He trained watch guards for the guard corps. So that was a cool little thing he did. And I was like, that's dope. Heavy labor. You can train an animal for heavy labor. It takes 2 weeks. So basically, like, training an animal for a purpose, you teach them, like, it's a combination of tricks. So, like, training an animal to fight, animals that engage in combat, they know the tricks attack, down, and stay. So you're teaching them attack, down, and stay. It takes 3 weeks. For guarding, you're teaching them attack, defend, down, and guard. It takes 4 weeks. Heavy labor, they know the tricks, come and work. It takes 2 weeks. So basically, however many tricks it takes them how long it takes them. Hunting, attack, down, fetch, heal, seek, and track. It takes 6 weeks. Performance, and so on. Yeah, so it's kind of cool, actually. It's really cool. Like, they're really in depth. There's a lot of really in depth. And it tells you, like, if you're untrained in the skill, so you can attempt any skill you want to. If you're not trained in it, you just can only do so much with that skill. So if you're not trained in like handle animal, because I'm on the page still, you can use a charisma check to handle or push a domestic animal only. But you can't teach it, rear it, or train it.
So, like, if you're not, okay, so like in 5e, what you're saying essentially is like if you're not proficient in animal
yes, if you're not proficient in a skill, you wouldn't be able to. You could handle domestic animals, but you couldn't teach it, train it, or rear tricks. A druid or a ranger who with no ranks and with no like skill points in handle animal for some dumb reason, they can use their charisma checks to handle and push their animal companion, but they can't teach it or train it. They can't teach, rear, or train other non-domesticated animals, so they can do it to handle and push their animal companion, but that's it. But they can't use those abilities. They can't, like, because you can teach your animal companion extra shit, but they're your animal companion. You can't teach them anything else.
Right.
And I'll get another animal with that. So there's that. So there are certain skills, like there are trained only skills that you can use, and then it's a lot that goes. It's a lot. Like introducing a new player to 3.5 is a lot because there's a lot of little nuance you have to know. There are certain skills.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just looking at like the rule set or the books and stuff, it can be daunting. I mean, don't get me wrong, somebody brand new to D&D, even picking up 5e, it can be daunting, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of rules and stuff, but I mean, I've played through 5e, 4e, 2nd edition, and 3.5.
Yeah, if you play through 2nd edition, you can definitely handle 3.5. There's just a lot to embrace. If you're in a 3.5 game, they're just like, all right, we're using these 5 books or these 8 books. All right, it's a little bit more reined in. Or even if you use the basic 3 books, hey, it's reined in. You can do that. I would never put somebody in this game and be like, hey, all the OG, all the open game content, it's right there. Go for it, baby.
Right. Here, make a character. We'll start in a week.
It's like, even all the SRD is like, fuck. Even all the SRD would be like,
Now, do you have a recommendation for somebody who wanted to get into? Okay, actually, I have multiple questions here for you.
I have multiple answers.
First, if somebody wanted to get into D&D and they wanted to start with 3.5, just to say that they've played it, is there a character class that you would recommend that would make it easier for them to transition into 3.5?
Easiest character class, I would say, would be Fighter, just because it's not a lot to it. It's not even like the Fighter in 5th edition when you have like cool abilities. The Fighter, to give you the idea, like the Fighter in 5th edition is the most boring class ever.
What?
You swing a sword.
You mean in 3.5?
In 3.5, sorry.
Oh.
The Fighter in 5th edition has like action surge and all this cool stuff. You want to know what special abilities you have as a fighter in 3.5?
So same as my fighter / barbarian in 2nd edition. It's just I hit this thing with my weapon.
Yeah, over 11 levels, you get over 20 levels, you get 11 bonus feats.
Yeah,
they're chosen from a very specific list.
And then if it's out of range, I throw my weapon, and then next turn I go pick my weapon back up.
Yeah, but there are a lot more weapon enhancements in 3.5 than there are in most other games. So you can very easily get a weapon with the returning property, which when you throw it, it will always return.
Gotcha, like Mjolnir.
Unless it's I think it's the only way it won't is if it's like gets embedded in something for some reason. Yeah. And then you can still return it, but it takes an action or a move action, I think, to call it back to you.
Gotcha.
It's not automatic.
Okay, so that was my first question. So you recommend Fighter for people just getting into 3.5? It's the
easiest one. I don't recommend Fighter because I feel like you will get bored after a while. I do and I don't, right?
See, most people probably. Me, not so much. I like that.
It's the easiest to get into. It's probably the hardest to like want to stay in and like just stay pure fighter. If we're not talking like building a class, multi-classing out and building a class, we're talking about just pure fighter. It's a really boring class. Your ranger, easy, but still a little like Paladin, same deal. Like Paladin, you probably could do okay with. It's not a whole lot you got to learn as a Paladin. There's a lot, but there's not a lot.
Right.
One of the melee classes, because as a wizard, as a sorcerer, as a wizard, your party is going to be crutching on you for a lot.
Right.
Like the wizard has a very like deceptively easy fucking but for instance, like deceptively easy, or the sorcerer has a deceptively easy table, like class table. You're like, oh, the only special ability they get is summon familiar. It's like, you're right. The only special ability they get is summon familiar.
But it's better than a beast ranger's beast.
It's not actually. It's. But I mean, his familiar does increase in power as he does, but it's not. I will say there is a penalty if your familiar dies. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think there isn't. There's not in 5e, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
There is a penalty if your familiar dies. It is a sorcerer maintains familiar. Doing something takes 24 hours and uses the magical materials that cost 100 gold pieces, which you get at first level, which is kind of funny because if I'm not mistaken, your class goal at first level per the class is. Hold on, I'll tell you a second. If I'm not mistaken, your class gold for a sorcerer at first level. I mean, your familiar is actually pretty solid. Actually, it's not bad. But because your familiar can actually fight. Like it's not like the bitch ass familiar in 5e. That motherfucking fight.
To be fair, the one in 5e isn't terrible because depending on what you choose, it can have things like it'll give you the help action, so you can have advantage on your attacks.
All of these familiars give you bonuses to checks and shit.
Oh.
So, like, your standard familiar, like, your standard options are the bat, cat, hawk, lizard, owl, rat, raven, snake, toad, and weasel.
Yeah, which is all, like, the 5 ones.
Yeah, the bat gives you a +3 on listen checks. The cat gives you a +3 on move silently. Hawk gives you a +3 on spot, which is, like, your perception check. Lizard gives you a +3 on climb. Owl gives you a +3 on spot checks when you're in shadows. Rat gives you a +2 on fort saves, which is solid. Raven gives you a +3 on appraise checks. Snake is a +3 on bluff. Toad's a +3 on hit points. Weasel's a +2 on reflex save. So you get those. And the Raven can speak a language of his master's choice as a supernatural ability. So your Raven can talk to you.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, Ravens are smart.
And then also, too, as they level up, they gain bonus hit dice. So at 20th level, they get 10 natural armor hit dice. They get 10 natural armor. And their intelligence goes up to be 15. So you can, at 20th level, you can have their intelligence stat is set at 15. So technically at 20th level, your familiar could be more intelligent than most barbarians.
Jesus, okay. Now, okay. Man, that's just adding more questions. God, so many.
Yeah.
Next question. Earlier you said, like, okay, so say you made a wizard character and you give him a really high intelligence score. Right?
Yes.
Then based off your intelligence score, you could actually potentially get bonus spells because of your intelligence score. I remember vaguely, and I don't remember mechanically what it did, but in second edition, if you had a high enough strength score, once you hit a strength score of 18, it then went to like 18-1, 18-2, 18-3, and then 19, and then 20. But when you were past that 18 tier, it allowed you to do other things as well. Like, I think maybe your crit range increased. You were able to wield much bigger weapons. Is there anything that you would get in, like, as a martial class in 3.5 if you increased your score high enough?
No. Martial classes, there's no love. Also, ability scores in 3.5 are none like 5e. It's not uncommon to start a character off with over a plus 20 in something.
Jesus.
If you build them right.
Okay.
Yeah, like you can get 30, 35s, 40s. It's not impossible, like ability scores. Because some of the races you can pick, like for instance, like if you roll really well, I think you can play as an orc race. Like your standard races are here. Like your standard races in the book, right? Plus your Sonic races, but your standard races plus Sonic races are dwarves, elves, gnomes, half-elves, half-orcs, halflings, humans, right? Standard affair. And also too, these classes, like you this in second edition Webby, because there's plus and minuses, they give you higher stuff sometimes. So like a half-orc, you get +2 strength, but you're going to lose 2 intelligence and 2 charisma.
Gotcha. Oh, I just looked up the question, the example that I gave with the strength score. So in second edition, if you had a 15 in strength, you'd have no bonuses to your hit or damage at all. Okay. Now, if you had a non-warrior with an 18 strength, you would have a +1 to hit and a +2 to damage, essentially. Whereas, so the tiers that you had for once you hit that strength score of 18 was 18/1 through 50, 18/51 through 75, 76 through 90, 91 through 99, and then 18/00, which is the highest. So a warrior with an 18/01, which is the lowest 18 score, has a +1 to hit, +3 to damage. Whereas a warrior with an 18/00, which is your highest, gets a +3 to hit and a +6 to your overall damage, which is...
No, there's nothing additional on that on there. Literally 3.5 is all about casters.
That's, same with 5th, honestly. They brought some love back to martial classes, I feel, but like, God, I don't know. It's just like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, everybody chooses a caster because casters are fucking OP.
They are. And some of the actual spells in 3.5 are legit. Like, legitimately, it's you save the spell or you're effectively dead.
Right.
It's not good.
Right.
But like balance it out. So there's the stupid balance you can have here, which is crazy. Which is why I never allowed more than in any game I played. We were never allowed to take a level adjustment of more than 2. So different races, because they offer so many advantages, they come with a level adjustment. A level adjustment counts towards your ECL, which is your effective class level, meaning that attack affects your experience points. So what that means is, let's say at level 1, you picked a race with a level adjustment of 5, plus 5, right? You are effectively a level, because of all the shit you get from that, you're effectively a level 6 character playing the party of level 1s. So right. your next level for XP would be what the rate of XP would be for a 6th level character. So you wouldn't level up to level 2 until your party was basically leveling up to level 6. If you all level equally.
Jeez.
So you don't have a lot of hit dice, which is the thing that is the issue, right? Because you add it towards all your hit dice. So it may have a level adjustment of 3, but it also may come with creature hit dice of 4. You have effectively a level adjustment of 8. So you're not getting a level until you get level 8. So it's at a certain point, level adjustments play against you so heavily, it's not worth using them. But to give you an idea, if you're playing like a short game, for instance, you were past level 1, because your HP doesn't increase. That's the fucked up part.
Like at all?
Not until you level up again, because you don't have any other way of gaining HP unless you get racial hit dice. You do get, like, for instance, like the Hound Archon. You can play as a Hound Archon. It is a printed race as a character. You can play as a Hound Archon. And if you're making a character as a Hound Archon, which is a well-muscled human with a canine head, you can play. You're going to get your base stats are going to be +4 to strength, +2 to constitution, +2 wisdom, and +2 charisma. There's no downsides. You're going to be an outsider. You're an Archon and an extraplanar, good and lawful. Medium size. Your base land speed is 40 feet. Your racial hit dice, a Hound Archon begins with 6 levels of outsider. So you write your class down. You're going to be 6 levels of outsider, 1 level whatever you are. Okay?
Right.
Now, there are additional rules that were introduced later that allow people to, instead of having a level adjustment or creature hit dice, you can, as you gain level, basically it would split up the abilities you got and break them up over the course of 5 levels. So you're leveling with your party, but you're not gaining a class, you're gaining your race, if that makes sense. But not everybody use that. So you would get 6 D8 hit dice, a base attack bonus of 6, and a saving throw bonus of Fort 5, Reflex 5, Will 5. So you have all that. So some DMs be like, well, that's what you're getting. You don't get your first class level until some DMs say you get a class level plus that. Some DMs say, no, you get that and you get no class levels until you would level up in 5 levels.
Now,
which is it counts towards your overall. So if you're not going into epic, your DM's like, hey, we're capping at 20. You're only going to have, because you're going to have those 6 levels of outsider, you're only going to benefit from 14 levels of a class. Because it's going to be, you're going to effectively, your ECL is going to be 20 at that point. You're going to have an ECL of 20 with 14 class levels.
Now, is that an optional thing? The thing where you're level 1, but you're technically a level 6?
That's a level adjustment attached to your race. It's not an optional. Some DMs let you buy it off. Some DMs let you, like, instead of having a level adjustment, you level up slowly and get what you want. But it's not a actual.
And
it's not optional.
Not every class.
Not every race has one. It's just as the stronger your race is. Because, like, for instance, the Archon comes with spell resistance, 16 plus class level, and damage reduction, both of which are they're supernatural, 10 evil. So, and how that works on here is spell resistance is bullshit, by the way.
Bullshit good or bullshit bad?
Bad. For bullshit, like, bad if you have to roll against spell resistance, it's shitty. So basically, spell resistance is an extraordinary ability to avoid being affected by spells. Some spells also grant spell resistance. To determine if a spell or spell-like ability would work against a creature with spell resistance, the caster must make a caster level check. DC is 1d20 plus the caster's level. If the result equals or exceeds the creature's spell resistance, the spell works normally. Although the creature shall not still allowed a saving throw. The defender spell resistance is like an armor class against magical attacks. And it works on all spells. It's not just like attacking spells, it's any spell. And if you, so let's say I have a spell resistance of 15, and you cast a spell on me, you would have to roll a 1d20 plus your, let's say you're a wizard, 1d20 plus your intelligence modifier and beat a 15. If you don't, it automatically fails. In meet or beat 15, it automatically fails. It does not work against me. Even like a fireball, like you could drop a fireball on me and my entire party, I would stand there and it wouldn't affect me.
Well.
And then if it does work on me and I have the save, I still get a save on top of that. So I have 2 opportunities for you to fuck up, or for me to like save against your shit.
All right.
So spell resistance is very, very powerful.
Okay, let me ask my next question. I've already forgotten one of them. Now, one of my favorite classes to play in any edition is a rogue. I like being the little sneaky guy.
I'm gonna answer Rob's question real quick because he typed the question. He said, "So beneficial spells too?" You said, like heal, haste, etc. On paper, yes. However, you can. So it's really funny. You can voluntarily lower your own spell resistance. Doing so is a standard action and doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. And once you do it, it remains down until the end of the next turn.
So if you know you're going to be healed by somebody this round, you have to spend your turn taking your standard action to lower your spell resist?
Yes. However, if I'm not mistaken, spell resistance is a extraordinary ability, so it's attached to you as a person. If you are unconscious but not dead, it still applies.
And you can't lower it?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's fucked up. I mean, I guess it's good and bad. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, thematically, I guess I can understand it, where it's like you're just, especially if it's a natural thing, like you said. But like, God, that sucks. Imagine being the healer and you cast like a 5th level healing spell and they resisted it. It's like, you just wasted that fucking trying to heal this douche. That's messed up. Alright. So my question, Devin, is how do rogues fare in 3.5?
Rogues are great in 3.5.
Are they good thieves?
Yeah, they are.
Alright.
Also, they're great wand users. Because to use a wand, you have to roll a check for use magic device, and rogues get the most skills in the game. So you can literally have a rogue that just has like a fucking bandolier of wands, and you basically can just be like a spellcaster. Basically, being a spellcaster and casting a spell from a wand, or not being a spellcaster and casting a spell from a wand that you don't know the spell to, would require you to roll a use magic device check to do so.
Right.
And rogues get the most spells, and they get bonuses to their skill checks. So you can literally be a rogue and just have like wands of fireball, wands of ice, wands of fucking whatever you want to have on you, wands of cure, whatever the fuck, and just have a bandolier of wands.
Yeah.
And just be also kind of a wizard that can stab things.
See, that's what I liked most about my second edition. My second edition rogue was I played a thief rogue. And much like in 5e, one of their special abilities is if you were a thief rogue of a certain level, you got to ignore any type of prerequisites on an item. As far as like, I could pick up a scroll that only could be used by clerics, and as a rogue, I could use that scroll. I think you still had to roll. In second edition, to be able to use the item properly, or there was like a chance that it could just not work or something like that. but I always liked the idea of a martial class, essentially, who their unique ability was that they could literally use any magic item that they picked up. That's why I love the Thief in 5th edition. I've just yet to be able to ever play one of that level where it mattered. You know, because, like, how pissed off would you be, right? I'm going to harken it, like, to 5th edition if you were a wizard, right, Devin?
Mm-hmm.
And I played it like a thief rogue. And I went off into a different room. You guys were investigating stuff. And then I came back because I looted a chest or whatever. And all of a sudden now I'm wearing, like, the robes of the Magi and the staff that all wizards want. And I'm like, hey, I can use these things. Like, that's such a shit move.
It is a shit move, but it's funny as fuck.
Right. But I definitely love rogues, like, for the reason, though, is because, man, I've had DMs where it's like, oh, here's your party, you know, and I know your party makeup, but here's, like, 3 scrolls that no one can fucking use because, you know, you don't have a druid or a paladin or whatever in your party, and they're that specific class. But if you had that thief, you know, in your party,
I forgot that was a thing. Jesus Christ.
What?
I forgot that I was reading something, but I forgot all the races have, like, aging, and, like, age actually affected your stats at a certain point.
Yep. 2nd edition was the same way. I think 4th edition was also the same way.
Yeah. So, like,
I don't remember if in 5th edition. I think there's an optional rule for that to happen in 5th edition.
Yeah. So humans reach middle age at 35. And at middle age, they get a -1 to strength, dex, and con, but a +1 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
Yeah.
They reach old at 53, which is a -2 to strength, dex, and con, and a +1 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And all these are stacking, if I remember correctly. These are not, like, replacement. These are stacking, if I remember correctly. Or they might not stack.
No, I don't think they stack. I think
they replace because this shows you again how much they fucking don't care about your melee classes. So they know that
the older you get, the better wizard you are.
Yeah, so they keep it at +1 for everything, but your physical stats will decline. But they don't give a shit about that because they know, like, every wizard would be like fucking 85,000 years old. And be fucking, like, have +3 to fucking intelligence, wisdom, and charisma because it's way fucking better. Right. I'll be frail as fuck. I don't give a shit.
Right.
It's funny. I forgot about that. Yeah, 3.5 was, like, fun. It was just a lot of, like, bookkeeping. That was, like, the biggest thing about that game. Like, it was one of the only games one of the only D&D games I experienced that I played where I had to, like, sit down and I had to actually, like, I was playing the game. I had to make a note of, like, what books were my character pulled stuff from.
Yeah, reference
on pages.
Yep.
And, like, had those books stacked next to me. So if I need to reference something, I'm, like, running through the books, like, flipping through the pages, like...
I did the same thing in 2nd edition because I had things from so many different books that I didn't want to have to forget and where they were, so I would write down, oh, it's in this book, this page. You know, this book, this page.
Exactly.
Now, okay, so we're over the hour 15 mark, so we're going to be wrapping up here, but I have one more question for you.
I have answers for you.
I'll say 3 if you can think of them, because I feel like you could, but at least 1, all right? So anywhere from 1 to 3 things. If you could bring from 3.5 and convert it properly that you would like to see in 5th edition.
Are we talking classes? Or are we talking...
Anything. Like, anything in 3.5.
Well,
what are 3
my favorite class
that you would like to bring over?
Well, there's 2 of them are classes, and people have tried it, but it's not the same. One would be the Warshaper class. From 3.5.
I think
I love that class. We have talked about that. The Warshaper class is one of my favorite classes. Also, shout out to the Changeling because it lets you do that unlimited times a day. And as a free action, I would bring the Tome of Battle classes. The entirety of Tome of Battle, I would bring over to 5e. I think it would be really cool. Be a really unique class, really unique classes introduced, and unique playstyles to introduce to the game. And if I was going to say one more thing, I'd bring over at least one more thing.
Like, are there any rule sets that you would want to convert over? Any feats that you would want to bring over? Equipment that they don't have in 5e that they had, or
I would bring over, honestly, I would bring over a lot more of the magical enchantments because I feel like on weapons and shit, there's just not a lot in 5e. You know what I mean?
Okay, can you
like,
can you give me an example of a couple of these enchantments?
Like, yeah, hold on 1 second. Or like armor and weapon enchantments. Magic weapons, magic armor, and these are just some of the basic book. But like, I'll run through some of them here for a second. Like, I don't. Arrow deflection might be over there in that one, but like, and some of them aren't needed per se. Like, you can get like a shield of cold resistance or in different levels of cold resistance, shit like that. Like, that's fine. Blinding, but like you have arrow catching, which is cool. But they also have arrow deflection, which as when you're hit by a ranged weapon attack, you can make what would be in 5e would be a dex save, or like kind of like you would like make an evasion check, like a dex save in place of that. And if you beat the save, you could forego the damage.
Okay, so like in 5e, if you did a dex save and you meet, or if you exceeded the
damage
roll,
dealt or the hit roll, you could just forego that completely. You're right.
Gotcha.
That'd be kind of cool. Like, or
and that would be a special enchantment on a piece of gear.
Yeah, on the shield, on a shield or a weapon.
Got ya.
Yeah, or like ghost touch weapons are always kind of cool. Armor or shield seems almost translucent. Both of its enchantment bonus and its armor bonus count against the attacks of incorporeal creatures, so it protects you against incorporeal attacks. It also can be picked up, moved, and worn by an incorporeal creature at any time, which is cool. You can get weapons that are like that, which are always dope. Like shadow gear, I think would be great on a wizard, on a fucking rogue. Is jet black armor that blurs the wearer whenever they try to hide. They get a +5 bonus to hide checks.
Okay.
And shit like that. I think it'd be really cool. Something like that I think would be dope. I would like to see more enchantments for armors and weapons, like weapons, for instance. Like I was never a fan of like the Antarctic and the axiomatic weapons, which were like the weapons that were like attached to your alignment. I was in like when you hit creatures of the opposite alignment, you would do extra damage. I was never a fan of those per se. I was really never a fan of the Bane weapons, like Dragon's Bane, things like that. I was never a huge fan of those, but like they're okay.
Now, is that
so, like,
were you just not a fan because like if you had them, you found that you just didn't run into those mobs as often?
Yeah.
So
now I did. Only time I ever actually used them on a regular basis was I played a weapon hunter. I played a fighter who was a weapon hunter, and he would collect Bane weapons of every different creature type.
Okay. Now I was gonna say those do seem like they're very niche and like something that you would just hold on to until
like I just kind of like to like imagine like, and actually there's a feat you could take, which is one of the most broken feats in 5e. I can't think of the name of it right now, but you could basically take a companion, but your companion could be like a 14th level PC, basically. So basically the whole thing I did was he was a knight who was like would travel the land killing creatures, and he had a squire.
Yeah.
He had a squire who literally dragged a cart with a bunch of fucking weapons in it
Yep.
And he'd be like the caddy.
I was gonna say you'd be like, hand me my ghost iron mace, or hand me my fiend bane club. You know.
That's exactly what it was. It was just like give you shit. It was a lot of like interesting character concepts you could make of just the tomfoolery.
So essentially, some of the things that you'd like to see able to be possibly adapted to 5e from 3.5 would be some classes and just some enhancements to items.
Yeah,
essentially.
Sure. I just feel like there's more there. I mean, I do feel like 3.5, I think, is the best way to put it. 3.5 gave you 100% character customization.
Right.
Everything about your character, you could customize it down to the skill point. It didn't matter. You know what I mean?
Do you think that there's any feats that would work well in 5e that would carry over?
3.5 feats are stupid. They're either.
I feel like there's so many of them in 3.5.
There's so many feats, and there's. I'm going to just roll through this random fucking 3.5 feats table here. This is just like in the basic one. Yeah, combat reflexes. I think is the one that's the shittiest one. Is it combat? Is it the combat reflexes or combat expertise? I think it's combat expertise. Let me fucking find that feat. That feat is the one I was talking about earlier. That's the shittiest fucking feat. That is the requirement of fucking everything for whatever reason. Every higher level feat requires combat expertise.
They probably wanted you to blow a feat on that.
They definitely did, which is why the fighter was nice. You could usually burn combat expertise on that because it was stupid. It by itself had a prerequisite of having an intelligence of 13. When you use the attack action or the full attack action in melee, you can take a penalty of as much as -5 on your attack and add the same as a dodge bonus to your armor class. The number you may not exceed your base attack bonus. So basically, it's just like, hey, I rolled a +5. Or whatever, I'm gonna take 2 off I'll roll at a -2 and add 2 to my AC. But just my dodge AC, not my regular AC, just my dodge AC. So like if I got hit with a fireball next turn, like, oh sweet, this is great, I can add this. Other than that, it was fucking pointless. No, it was regular AC, it was a dodge bonus. I'm sorry. So yeah, I could add it to my AC. So it's like, cool, I can be harder to hit, but I'm also harder to hit you. So it's kind of like, and AC doesn't matter. And as stupid as this sounds, AC didn't matter in 3.5. Because it was either like I said, like you could get an AC of like 58, but their creatures are rolling with like +45. So it's like, okay, well, cool. Or they had other ways of hitting you. They would get you flat-footed. They would get you a touch AC, which a touch AC is, which we never covered. That's how this whole conversation started. I didn't realize that. Hold on. So there's different types of AC, okay? You have your enchantment bonuses, deflection bonuses, natural armor, dodge bonuses, whatever. Touch attacks. Some attacks disregard armor, including shields and natural armor. In these cases, the attacker makes a touch attack, either ranged or melee. When you are in charge of touch attack, your AC doesn't include your armor bonus, your shield bonus, or natural armor bonus. All other modifiers, such as your size modifier, dex mod, and deflection bonus, apply. Meaning, if you're like this big armored fucking heavy fighter and you touch AC something, and you get touch AC'd, it shit don't matter. All your armor is just not important anymore.
That's messed up.
That is going back to one of the weapons I was about to talk about, the which is basically a lightsaber. It's legitimately a lightsaber. Brilliant energy. Brilliant energy weapon has a significant portion transformed into light. Although this doesn't not modify the item's weight, it always gives off light as a torch, 20 feet radius. A brilliant energy weapon ignores non-living matter, so it effectively armor and shield bonuses to AC, including any enchantment bonuses to that armor, does not count against it because the weapon passes through armor. Dexterity, deflection, dodge, natural, and other such bonuses still apply. A brilliant energy weapon cannot harm undead, construct, or objects. This property can only be applied to melee weapons, thrown weapons, and ammunition.
Now, could you have an enhancement on your armor that made it so it could be used against specifically those types of weapons?
I don't believe so.
See, they missed opportunity right there.
I know I'm not actually in this episode, but I know why touch attacks are like that. It's because it doesn't matter where they touch you. They basically like sending lightning through your armor. So even if they just touched your shield, it would still affect you. So that's why the armor class and the shield don't matter, because they can touch you anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. 100% exactly. Or if you have a fucking, like I said, you have a fucking brilliant energy weapon, it's a lightsaber. It doesn't matter. It just phases through your shit, and it's light. It phases through and cuts you anyway. So you die. The distance weapon. Mwah! The distance Elven double bow. I love you so. The distance splitting Elven double bow. All of the shenanigans I got into with you, my Thryking dual archer. I was a walking.
So what does the distance thing do? Like, why?
Hold on. Let me pull up the Elven double bow for a second. I'm going to pull up all this and explain all this and let you kind of like morph this into your head. You know what I mean? Let this all come together naturally into your head. So you have this. Because actions didn't mean shit. Actions didn't mean shit. All right, there's that. And then last but not least, I needed was the multi-shot feat. So, everybody's familiar with Thrykings, right? Thrykings, 4 legs, 4 arms, all that fun shit, right?
New to 5e.
New to 5e. All right. Base attack bonus we already covered, Webby, right? So you get 4 attacks on a fighter or a ranger.
Okay.
Actual text message. So, mini shot. Fire multiple arrows, single attack action, nearby target. As a standard action, you may fire 2 arrows at a single opponent within 30 feet. Both arrows use the same attack roll to determine success. So you can give up your 4 and use mini shot as opposed to that, right? Which getting into. Or you could go with all 4. But the thing about that is, after the first 2, you're really not hitting anyway, okay? In most cases. Then you attach onto that is a normal thing. You have the Elven double bow. The Elven double bow is someone who has the exotic weapon proficiency can fire 2 arrows at once from said bow per attack. Okay. So you then have that on top of.
You're up to 8 arrows, essentially,
yes.
Right?
Then you attach on you get a bow attached with the splitting property. Any missile fired from a splitting weapon or arrow or bolt enchanted with the splitting ability breaks into 2 identical missiles before striking the intended target. So
16.
16. And then you can get different arrow types. So we go 3.5 for that one. Keep putting in 5e. 3.5. Different arrow types. They have the alchemist arrow, the blunt arrow, the fly arrow, the signal arrow, the thundering arrow, the tumbling arrow, the arrow of biting, the raptor arrow. This,
so essentially,
all
your
that.
green arrow.
Yes. However, the thundering arrow was effectively it would AOE would do basically like AOE. I think it's like 5 on wherever it hit, and then 5 feet in every direction.
So adjacent
would
enemies.
Do all adjacent enemies to wherever it hit would be equivocably. It would do like sonic damage, right? So you're doing your green arrow.
You're bombarding this one target with 16 arrows and then 16 AOE separate AOE damages for everybody adjacent to them.
Yes. But you then attach on the distance property, which doubles the effective range of all weapons. Range weapons.
So
doubles the range of it.
You're doing it from space.
Basically. So the longbow, to give you an idea, the longbow has a range of longbow in 3.5. I'll tell you in 2 seconds here. You got a range weapons. It's something like stupid. It's very stupid. Bow.
Or 6 something maybe.
So in this composite longbow, but it's also a strength adjusted. You also can get strength adjusted weapons. So you can get strength adjusted weapons. So as a fighter, you can get strength adjusted weapons to also increase the range. It was like 130. So you go up to like 200 some feet. Basically, I got out 300 feet with a strength adjusted composite bow. So you're firing all these. So I laughed and we call it the human ballista because you also had explosive arrow tips, which would explode and leave like napalm on the ground. So the running joke was this guy was literally a walking ballista. He would just stand far back and just shoot distance and just like spray and pray.
Jesus.
And that's what my turns were. My turns were consisting of me shooting 16 arrows here and there. Or if I didn't care about hitting, I would use rapid shot. And rapid shot, if I remember correctly, was you get 1 extra attack per round with a ranged weapon. The attack is your highest base attack bonus, but each attack you make in that round takes a -2 penalty, which means you can get 5 attacks. You get 5 attacks per round. So do all that math again with splitting them. So 4 arrows, 5 attacks is 20, splits into 40 with rapid shot. And you do it it would be a plus 18. So base attack would be a plus 18, plus 13, plus 8, plus 3, and then plus 18.
Jesus Christ.
So you can shoot 4. I shot like 40 arrows a turn. It was dumb.
What's giving it the split thing? Is that an enchantment on the bow?
It's an enchantment on the bow.
So anything fired from that splits into 2?
Yes, and the bow itself was an exotic weapon that lets you shot 2 arrows at once. So you shoot 2 arrows, and those 2 arrows would split into 4 arrows, and then you multiply that by 2 bows on 1 on each hand, which is then 8 arrows. Multiply that by 5 attacks per round, and you get 40 arrows. And then you multiply that by the fact that, it's very expensive spending a lot on explosive arrows and shit like that, or like alchemist fire arrows, but you do that, and you just basically are a human ballista that can hold off a medium-sized army by yourself.
Right, yeah. Well.
And that's not even including haste rounds.
I'm starting to see why they don't have some of these things in 5e. All right.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgustingly broken.
Well, with that being said, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk? Any key points that you'd like to talk about?
No, I think I'm actually
3E or 3.5. Or are we good to wrap it up here? I'm going to guess that that's a good to wrap it up here.
Yeah, I said that was. We're good. Sorry.
All right.
I didn't
do we have any other questions from the peanut gallery? Now that we have Rob, who just kind of quietly joined us.
Nope.
Nope.
Not really.
All right. Well, Devin, I want to thank you for enlightening me. I feel like I know a little bit more about 3.5, but I still don't think that I'd be able to sit down and even begin to make a character or know how to run a game or anything like that. But it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like,
I know.
Because every
I'm
question gets into another diluted question.
If I wanted to build a 3.5 character just for fun, I'm guessing it would be essentially me and you sitting in a call. I would need a notebook and probably a good maybe hour and a half, 2 hours. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. I mean, if we're going level 3 to 5, that's about right. If we're going level 20, it might be longer. If we're doing it by hand and we're not using a character builder, it'd be about 100%. It'd be
I have a bunch of 3.5 modules on the bookshelf, which would help you out too. So.
Well, seeing as though Devin told me there's something insane like 60 some odd books to 3.5.
Yeah,
I don't
core
know
books.
I don't even have any of the core books. They're all modules.
There's 68 core books.
Yeah.
There are 30. 30 adventure books. Just adventures. And then hold on, I pulled it up at one point. And then you have actually there's more adventures than that. I lied. Then you have the whole Eberron setting, which is by itself 20-something books. So I lied on that. There's more books than that. So adventure books, there's 68 Wizard of the Coast published books, 64 adventure books. Then you get to the Eberron books. Eberron has... Oh, boy. So Eberron's got another... ...21 books.
Jesus Christ.
And then I'm not even close to being done. Just hold on. And then you got Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms has... I'm just going to move this over here to make my life easier. Forgotten Realms got... So, boom. Maybe condense some of these fucking columns. Because Jesus. Forgotten Realms got 29 books. Dragonlance has 24 books.
Oh, Dragonlance was a 3.5 setting?
Yeah.
Dude, I love the Dragonlance books.
Yeah, it's gone through first, second, 3.5, and first, second, 3.5, and fifth. Only edition it was in fourth. Dragonlance, and then you had 430 Dragon magazines.
Yep.
And 221 additional magazines.
Now, to be fair, the magazines also covered other editions.
They did. You're right. You're not wrong. I'm just saying. So I'm not going to count those, but I'm just being by itself. And that's not including, because this is an open game license, so anyone could publish shit, and it could be, used. But just actually, published hardcover books. And just from Wizard of the Coast, you got 68, 64... 21, 29, 24. Over 130-ish books.
Jesus.
Or over 200 books, almost, somewhere on there. That you have, that you could theoretically pull from and use. Although I do think the Dusk Knight. I do think the Dust Knight is probably the best version of the fighter. I don't know. Is it Dust Knight? No, it's not the Dust Knight. It's what is it? Some Player's Handbook 2. Some Player's Handbook 2 classes.
The Night Knight. Instead of the Dusk Knight. Get it?
Yeah, I got you.
I hate myself.
I know you do. That's okay. I still love you, buddy. All right, hold on. Play the Dust Blade. There you go. The Dust Blade.
Hold on. Another reason I hate myself. I was going to tell a joke earlier this morning to somebody, Rob. So I will tell it to you and Devin here.
Oh God.
You know, Pebbles Rock, Dwayne, in your campaign. If Dwayne were to join a band, which band would it be?
Rock band?
No. I mean, that's the answer that was given too, but the Rolling Stones. And then I hated myself. Anyway, continue, Devin. The Night, is that what we're on?
The Dusk Knight. The Dust Knight. It's the best version of the Arcane Knight, the Arcane fighter class that they have. It's the best version I think they've ever printed of like a class that truly blends melee and spellcasting.
All right.
So I will say that is another thing I would like to see them bring back to the table.
How many years did you play 3.5 for?
About 3 throughout high school.
So how many different classes did you play or build in your head or
touched on? It's probably somewhere close to like 30 or 40. How many I actually played on paper? Probably somewhere to like 8 or 9. But I've played or theory crafted quite a few.
Are there any classes that you didn't?
I played all the core classes at least once.
All right.
Because a lot of the time you're running 2 characters. Because we were like 3 people in a group, so we just ran 2 characters each. Would be 6.
Gotcha.
So we'd be running 2 characters. So a lot of times I'd do like one I really cared about, and then one I didn't care about so much that would be like my comical relief character that I would like. I would still build him seriously, but I didn't care if he died. So I'd play like one of the classes I wasn't like super familiar with.
Right.
And sometimes I was super lazy. I'm like, yeah, I got 2 characters to manage. Neither one of them are going to be spellcasters. You're a barbarian and you're a fighter. Yep. Let's go.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap. We're well over the hour and a half mark now, so we're gonna wrap up. Man, and there's still so much that we could talk about as far as 3.5. I'm sure. Well, with that being said, do you have life advice, Devin, this week? You haven't been around for life advice. I've been trying to keep up, man, but
I appreciate it, buddy. I really do.
I've been failing.
Life advice.
He's deciding. I have a quick science corner for you since
you son of a bitch.
A very long episode already. Just if you haven't seen the pictures from the James Webb Telescope, take a look. They're amazing.
No,
they're beautiful. They are.
The Hubbles were just as good.
No.
Yeah, they are.
No,
it's like watching a standard movie versus an HD movie. It's really
they can see so much more with the James Webb. Like, look, here's the cosmic bat.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
I looked at these
more
images.
Impressive.
Nah.
Okay. Don't listen to Webby. He's wrong.
Again, it's like watching a movie in SD versus watching a movie in HD. It's not that big of a difference.
There it is.
Yeah, then how come the James Webb Telescope hasn't picked up any UFOs or aliens yet?
Because they probably don't exist.
Please. Something that clear, you should be able to obviously see space ice giants.
Oh, boy.
Life advice with Devin? No, but in reality, yeah, the pictures are very sharp. I'm just giving you shit.
I know.
My life advice is very simple. Very simple, very easy to go through. It's gonna be short. It's gonna be sweet, and it's
shorter than the intro to your life advice.
Yes, actually. That's why I was making it longer to make it seem like it was more important and embellished. But no, it's serious though. If you want to be trusted, be honest. That's simple.
Yeah.
Honesty is always the best way to go. And that's even with yourself, like not just with everybody else. Be honest through and through. Sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, this isn't really for me. Or, yeah, this is what I want. And it's going to suck because it may not be the answer you... It may not be the answer you want, but it's the answer you need.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. So don't try to fake out yourself or anybody for that matter. Just, be yourself and be honest.
I like that one. That's good. All right. Well, with that being said, Rob, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Confessor_X and on Twitch at twitch.tv/ConfessorX.
And Devin, where can people find you at?
You guys can find me on Twitter at DMP_Pookie. You can find me on Twitch at MrD3. And as always, you can find me on eBay. Trying to buy up all 200 and so many odd books of Dungeons and Dragons 3.5.
For 99 cents.
You joke. There actually was a sale on Amazon at one point, and one of them was for going for like $1.50, and I didn't buy it. And I looked 2 days later, it was like 45. I was like, fuck!
Jesus. As always, everybody, you guys can follow me on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word, on Twitch at DMWebby, and on eBay at selling D&D books for 99 cents to Devin.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. We love you, and fuck Booster Gold.
Fuck Booster Gold.
Down.
I can't find it now, but there was this picture that they showed some of the pictures from the Webb telescope. So they're like 50 billion light years away, and then it shows a blurry guy. It's like 10 feet from a security camera.
They're not wrong, though.
I know.
It's not a wrong statement.